I know what you're thinking. Why do I have a tent in my house? There's a very good reason, and I'd love to tell you. Keep watching and I will. Welcome to my tent talk. Well, like the title on the video says, my name is Christie, spelled with an E, also the name of my channel, and there is a very good reason for that. As a child, I read the Lucy Maud Montgomery Anne of Green Gables series, and she was Anne spelled with an E, which distinguished her from other children with the name of Anne. And Christie was a fairly popular name, so to distinguish myself, I added an E onto the end of Christie. So Christie with an E, and it has stuck ever since. Figured I'd have some tea. If you've got tea or coffee or water, cheers. I try to drink at least 2 cups of herbal tea a day, and at least one of them green tea. I try to do like green tea and black tea. And this one is a green tea. This is a elderberry, vitamin C, immunity, whatever blend, but it's quite yummy. So I've been limiting my coffee intake, not hugely, but I've probably cut out like a whole pot a day, which is saying something because normally I could drink like 3 pots of coffee a day because that was like all I was drinking was coffee. So I try to not drink so much during the day and stick with tea. I might have a protein shake, but usually tea. Okay, that's enough about tea. So I'm sure you're wondering who I am, where I came from, what my story is, and I'm here to give you all of the details. I grew up in Michigan, in the Lower Peninsula. I grew up over here, near Grand Rapids, in a little town called Ada, and the Mackinac Bridge that spans the gap between the Upper and Lower Peninsula. If you were born in the Upper Peninsula, you're a Youper. If you were born in the Lower Peninsula, you are a troll because you are under the bridge. So I am a very proud troll and a Wolverine. Go blue. I don't want your hair in my tea, Lucky. This is Lucky, by the way, everybody. Say hi. He's much more sociable than he's looking right now. He's mad because Freya, who used to be a very standoffish cat, has turned into a very lovey-dovey cat. And now she sleeps with me and he's jealous. And here she comes too. Hi, Freya. No, not interested? Okay. So that's where I grew up. I am the oldest of 5 children. I grew up out in the country. I spent most of my days outside, up in a tree, or with my imaginary friend Ingo, riding our imaginary horses all through the woods. There was a time when well, not one time, I had a very bad habit of taking my dad's garden rakes or yard rakes and taking them up in the woods and raking the deer trails to get all the debris off of them so that I could run around up in the woods barefoot and not worry about stepping on a thorn, because I can't remember the name of the tree, but they had these thorns that were, I swear, this big. I got one stuck in my foot one time. That was terrible. But yeah, so I'd rake the deer trails and forget that the rake was up in the woods. And then my dad would say, "Where's the rake?" And I'd be like, "Oh crap, it's up in the woods somewhere." So then I'd have to go find it and bring it back. But I never wore shoes. They called me shoeless. It was fun. When I was 12, my parents joined a cult, and that is a whole separate video. If you are interested in hearing more about that, please leave something down in the comments and I will make a video on that, but that is a whole separate story that I'm not going to go into at this moment. But I was homeschooled, and my mom did all of the cooking. We had a garden. Well, she had a garden. We were her little workers. She would send me out to get things, and I'd come in with a bowl of half of something, and you know, I'd eaten the rest of them. We had grapes, and she'd send me out with a tin bowl, and I'd come back with a few grapes and a purple face, because I'd just eat them. They were delicious. But same thing with beans and tomatoes and everything. I'd always eat everything. My mom had gone to school for botany, so I learned very young what I could and could not eat in the yard, because I was always putting everything in my mouth. I had to taste everything. There was something I called lake carrots or creek carrots. They were some plant that grew down by the creeks, and they had these long white roots that started out thick at the where the ground, at the top of the ground was, and then they were down. They looked like white carrots. They tasted good. What can I say? I like foraging, I suppose. But it was very fun growing up. My mom tried to do, you know, really healthy cooking. We didn't go out to eat very often. She made bread. So I learned how to make bread at a very young age. You know, my sister and I would trade off weeks doing meal plan, grocery shopping, cooking, and cleaning. So we'd swap out every week. So that taught us, you know, how to shop on a budget. Lucky your hair is everywhere. And I love you, but oof, I'm covered in cat hair. But we learned, you know, how to shop and how to cook, and you know, the basics. And I thought that, you know, I was fairly healthy. I was very active as a kid. I was always up in trees, and you know, I think that gave me a slight advantage, because when I left home and was out on my own and you know, fending for myself basically and being an adult, you know, I thought I was eating healthy. I was, you know, I'd make my own bread. I'm Italian, so I ate pasta all the time. Pasta. Ooh, mangia. I love pasta. Don't eat it anymore, but I loved pasta and rice and potatoes, and I was eating constant carbs. And when I was 38, I had a heart attack. They said it was stress. One of my veins collapsed. I was at work, and I started feeling weird. That's really I can't really describe it. I just felt kind of out of it and woozy. I went into the bathroom and laid on the cold tile floor for a little bit, and then I talked to the other secretary, and I was like, something's wrong. I don't feel good. And my boss's wife was, you want me to take you to the doctor? I'm, no. I don't want to go to the doctor. I need to go to the doctor. We'll go down to the med station down the road. So, or the doctor's office instead of the hospital is what I meant. So we go over there. They go, oh, well, your vitals are fine, blah, blah, blah. And one of the nurses said, you need to do another test. There's something wrong with this girl. So they give me an EKG, and the nurse ripped the paper, ran out of the room, comes back in, hands me a pill, told me to stick it under my tongue, and said, you're having a heart attack. We've called you an ambulance. And that was that. I was off to the Aiken Hospital in South Carolina to, you know, have heart surgery. And they had to put a stent in because my vein had collapsed. And they said I had minimal to no heart damage, which, thank goodness. And I was on quite a few medications at the time. I was also told that I had diabetes. I was getting closer to 200 pounds, which was always the, you know, if I ever get to, you know, get to 200 pounds, that's it. You know, that was my personal cutoff. I didn't want to be 200 pounds. And I couldn't remember a time where I was below 150. I was probably 150 when I was 16. And So I started, you know, they started me on metformin, and that really didn't do anything. My blood sugar was between 300 and 500, just constantly, normal. On insulin, I started taking insulin shots. I was taking 2 shots a day of 40 units, and I hated those shots. They are not fun at all. And so one day I woke up, this was 2 years ago, I woke up one day in April and I was just like, you know what, this is ridiculous. And I just decided to quit sugar. And I did. I quit sugar, and I, realizing that carbs were the same as sugar, I cut as many carbs out as I could. I was very, very strict on myself, and I started dropping weight. My blood sugar started going down. It went down to about 150, and it would hover between 150 and 130 for a while. And that was really awesome. And I started getting more into nutrition and food and disease, and what do these different things mean, and how do they affect our life, and how do I become healthy? What do I really need? What is it that is going to make my body work at the optimal? If my body is my temple, then I need to put as much care and love into it as I possibly can, because it's the only vessel that I'm going to have. And if I want it to perform well for the rest of my life and not have any cognitive decline, or, where I can't get out of bed and do stuff, then I need to, get in shape, whip it good. And that's, sorry. And that's what I decided to do. And so after learning more and more about food science, and it's been a long road. If you want me to go into more of those, I can go into that a little bit more. I'm trying to just give you a more overview of my life and not go into too much detail, which I know I've already completely failed, and this is going to be a hugely long video. So I apologize in advance. Anyways, back to what makes me me. So yes, in the past 2 years, I've lost 80 pounds. I went from just 200, I was just below 200 pounds to now being 120 pounds, which I'm so thrilled about. I never thought that I'd be 120 pounds. I still have areas that have too much fat that needs to be converted into muscle still, and skin that needs to get tight, because I'm sorry, when you lose 80 pounds, you've got this loose flab that just, it's not nice, but it'll eventually go away, because I've noticed that in the past month or so, the difference in how my body looked before. I mean, I'm really noticing things like, oh my goodness, I can actually feel my back, or I feel my shoulders, Yeah, I got bones there. Huh? Never knew that. Of course I knew I had bones. Anyways, so other things that make me me, I love rocks. This is one of the first rocks I found down here in North Carolina. Where I've lived is a whole nother story too. I've been all over the East Coast. That's another video if you want that one, ask about it and I'll tell you. I'm still going through a cleaning process with this one. It should be very, very awesome and sparkly when it's done. But that's one of them. I also have a box. I love boxes. I'm just like a cat, boxes and yarn. But in this box, I have more rocks. This one's quartz with some pyrite. Gorgeous. I love these things. And there's another one that I've got that's being cleaned. This one, I believe, is part of an arrowhead. It's got some tool marks on it, but part of it has been broken. So this part here has been broken off. But I think that's an arrowhead. At least it is to me. If it isn't, oh well. But more clear quartz. I love quartz. and that's what's down there. I've also gone for rock hunting in Michigan on Lake Superior, and I came back with, you know, a whole bunch of other quartz, and these are all, you know, very, very smooth rocks. And I have this letter opener that looks like a sword, so the sword and the stones, if you get it, you're awesome. I have a deer antler. This thing, Pops gave it to me. I love it. I think it's so cool. Always wanted to have a deer antler. He found it up in the woods up on his mountain. He lives in West Virginia, which has the most beautiful mountains. I may be from Michigan, but my heart belongs to West Virginia, which WVU is, their colors are blue and gold. So blue and gold, and Michigan blue and gold. It works as long as it's not green and white, because that's butt paper. And Ohio State, no. So anyways, I'm a weirdo. I've played a lot of instruments: clarinet, piano, violin, cello, viola, oboe, cymbals, kazoo. I still have a kazoo. I keep a kazoo in my purse. You never know when you might need a kazoo. Kazoos come in very handy, especially if you're listening to Weird Al. You know, Smells Like Nirvana, that one uses the kazoo. So, they come in handy. They do. Or cowbells. You're going to want that cowbell. I hope that's a little introduction to the weirdness that is me. Oh yes, my tent. Before I forget, I volunteered at a thrift store when I was living in Chester, South Carolina, and it was an animal advocates. You know, all the profits went to the animal shelters and, you know, feeding and rescuing animals. And this tent had been sitting there for, I guess, quite a few months, and they were gonna throw it out. And I was like, don't throw it out, can I have it? They were like, yeah. So I took it home, and all of the pieces were here. And I was like, I have my own tent. So it's been a reading nook. The cats enjoy it. It's fun for just hanging out in. I keep some of my stuffies in here. This is my hippo. His name is Turd Ferguson. He farts, but you have to hit him. He's not the squeeze one like Abby's. But yes, his name is Turd Ferguson, and if you know what that is in reference to, you're awesome. I hope you have a fantastic day. If you have any questions about me, my journey, if there's things that you want to see, I know I only have like that one tallow video up. I'm going to be putting up a tallow balm video tomorrow. So I hope you enjoy that one as well. Have a great day. I'm going to go and try and get all of the cat hair off of me now. Yes. And I don't know why he likes to bite my chin. He's a weirdo. What can I say? He's my cat. Yeah. He's definitely mine. I hope everyone has a great day, and I will catch y'all later. Toodles. We're turd.